Now last time, when I was talking about making a tabletop game, as I was mentioned that I've got a new Kalidasia one coming out in a little while here. Let me take my old person glasses off so I can see what I'm doing. I need to use these things when I work on small miniatures from time to time now. I mentioned that is going to be a skirmish level sci-fi game. And actually what I'm cutting up here is just a very simple PLA 3D printed stand-in because I don't have the final miniatures yet. It is a Krylon soldier, and it's based on this artwork that's been on the website for quite some time. In fact, this is the outline I traced to make this little gaming token that I'm going to be using for playtesting, like I said, until I get around to making the final miniatures. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages when it comes to making a skirmish level tabletop game. Now, first of all, the games are easier to manufacture because there's less stuff for you to design, less rules to playtest, and therefore it's easier to crank them out. And also because there's less stuff to buy and less stuff the players need to get into the game, it's more, at least potentially, it can be more appealing to players to have to buy a smaller set to get a good gaming experience than expecting them to buy like an entire army to get a good gaming experience. Now, those advantages, at least the first one about it being cheaper and easier to produce, is also a disadvantage because this means there are tons of companies already making skirmish level miniature games, including some of the major brands like Warhammer 40k. They of course have 40k Kill Team, which brings up the problem that you're going to have to solve is how is your game going to stand out? So let's start by talking a little bit about marketing your game. Now this is primarily for later on in the development process when you get close to launching the game or maybe launching the crowdfunding project, whatever you plan on doing. And these things I'm going to be talking about next are based on my experience from my years of selling my old tabletop miniatures game, Legends of Kalidasia. Now, ads online for things like Facebook, Google, those are an option, but you really got to be ready to dump lots and lots of money into them to potentially be successful. They do work for some companies and they do not work for a lot of other companies. So it's not a guaranteed path to success, but it's something you can look into if you have deep pockets. A few years ago, I did run some Facebook ads for this particular game. And the advantage with Facebook is that you can actually get very niche-y in terms of who you're advertising to. I think I was trying to market to like Star Wars X-Wing and Star Wars Armada players within the areas where I normally went to conventions at, or some cities where I knew that I already had a potential existing player base. And back then, obviously this is a few years ago, so numbers have probably changed a little bit. I was paying about $1 per visitor to my Kalidasia website over here. And for the most part, almost all those visitors would come to the landing page, which was a landing page for the game, and then they would not go anywhere else on the website. Like I said, expect to pay lots of money for online ads if you want to try to go down that route. There are some websites where you can post news things about your game coming out, post news articles and stuff like that. Some make you pay for it, some don't. And those can actually drive some traffic, and I had some success with those, and they're generally better than any sort of online ads or banner ads. Now, another thing you try to do is join forces with a content creator and try to use their marketing platform, whether that be a podcast, YouTube channel, or something like that, to introduce people to your game. I went on some different podcasts. I had people write articles about my game on websites with varying degrees of success, but that is an option out there. Now, if you do have lots of patience, or you get really lucky, you can also try to go down the route of becoming a content creator, but that can take a long time. But if you do get to the point where you're a fairly well-established member of the community, you can certainly use your brand power to sell your own products and be very successful at it. There's a lot of tabletop game content creators on YouTube, not just me who's been doing it for a very long time, who are making their own tabletop game and tabletop miniatures because that's kind of the cool thing to do right now if you run a YouTube channel related to tabletop gaming content. Another option is to kind of slow roll things a little bit. You don't necessarily need to dive right in with a full set of rules, a full game, full miniatures, all that stuff. you can kind of approach things in a piecemeal fashion. That's what I've been doing with my line of 3D printable miniatures over at fracturedcolony.com. And this isn't exactly me just dropping an ad into this particular video, because I'm going to talk about this several times during the course of my speech right here. What I've been doing is releasing a new set of these miniatures every now and then, and I have a crowdfunding project to go with them. And it's allowing me to kind of experiment with the design of the miniatures, see how appealing they are, see how people are interested in the story behind the potential game and the miniatures, and it allows me to essentially test the waters a little bit with a new science fiction franchise that's without spending a whole lot of money developing an entire game. Now, I assure you, if the next couple crowdfunding projects for these guys goes really well, yes, there will be a rule set to go with them eventually, but that's not my top priority right now. So maybe you could try to go down that road and look at ways you can kind of introduce people to the world of your board game or world of your miniatures game without having the entire game ready to go. So games conventions can be an option as well. There are plenty of small local games conventions around, probably where you live, unless you live in the middle of nowhere. And you can go ahead and get a vendor table there as to sell your product if it's available for sale as it is. Or also sometimes these local game conventions are usually pretty happy to allow local people who have their own rule set to run demos and try things out and see what the local community, keep saying local a lot, see what the local community has to say about the game. Now, when it comes to vendor tables, there's going to be weekends with long hours and you probably won't make your money back, but it is something you could look into. You can usually get a vendor table at a local games convention fairly cheap. They're often less than $100. But some can be kind of finicky about rules. Others can be really more open to new game developers. It becomes a bit tricky, but do some research and figure out which ones around you might be a good fit for the game you're trying to create. National game conventions are an option. I've been to Origins a few times, but they're going to get really pricey really fast. And unless you want to really dump the money into buying a nice big booth in the front of the vendor hall, which you're talking 5 figures, if not more. I think Gen Con can get even a lot more than Origins. You can look up the cost of the tables. That information is publicly available if you're interested in that kind of a thing. If you don't go with those big tables, you're going to find yourself probably some odd spot in the back of the games convention, and I assure you from personal experience, the amount of foot traffic way in the back corner of the vendor hall is far, 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 far less than what the big guys are getting up in front. So a large sum of money to pay for the vendor hall, the hotel, the travel, honestly, unless you've got a lot of money to dump into getting a nice table, that may not be worth it. Now, you do want to talk to them if you're a brand new company. Back in the day, Origins did have a sort of discounted rate for new games companies, and I did take advantage of that for 2 years to get a cheap table, albeit it wasn't a crappy location, but it was a lot cheaper than what I would normally pay if I was not a new games company. So definitely look into that kind of a thing. Back on the topic of crowdfunding with fracturedcolony.com, once again, crowdfunding itself can be a source of promotion for your tabletop game. Now, if you're a relatively new company with not a big following, I wouldn't expect it to be enough to actually cover what you need for an investment in a game. But when it came to all my Fractured Colony projects, even some of the failed Kalidasia projects, I did get some amount of interest from people just browsing the Kickstarter website. And if your game does gain a little bit of traction, the more popular it becomes, the easier it's going to be for people to find your game and check it out on the crowdfunding platform. Let's talk broadly about your game. As you're writing the rules, you want to think a little bit about this balancing act that you have to deal with. On one hand, you want your game to be unique and stand out in interesting mechanical ways, so therefore you can kind of market these really cool features and draw interest that way. However, if your game strays a little bit too far from the norm, players aren't going to quite comprehend it, or they may not like it, and you end up may not getting the interest you want, even if you have a truly unique miniatures game. On the other hand, if you end up creating something that's fairly generic and has been done a dozen times before, well, people might like your game, but they also might be like, well, I've played this before, so they're not going to show a whole lot of interest in it. One way to kind of help find this balance is, once again, go back to the local games convention scene. As I mentioned a little bit ago, These conventions will often allow you to come and run play tests of rules, and you can do some experiments and see how players react to your rule set, of whether it's too unique, too generic, or somewhere in the middle. Now, I will talk more about playtesting and how to respond to playtesting and how to run playtesting later on in this series, and provide more details on that at that time. It is helpful to go ahead and spend some time to learn about some of the games that are competing with yours, because when you're showing your game off to people, they're going to be asking you questions. How does your game compare to X, Y, and Z? And you want to have good answers as to how it is similar, and in particular, how it is different and how it's unique. So for myself, since I'm working on Legends of Kalidasia, a science fiction skirmish tabletop game, I want to at least be familiar with the rules of games like Warhammer 40k Kill Team, Infinity, as well as Xenogenesis, and maybe some other things along those lines, because people are going to ask me, how does this compare to Warhammer 40k Kill Team? And I want to have a better answer than, well, I'm not Games Workshop. I thought it was a funny joke at the time. I don't think anyone ever laughed. However, that was for Legends of Kalidasia and how it compares to Battlefleet Gothic, but I'm going to get similar questions this time, except with Kill Team. So what am I going to do? I don't have a complete plan just quite yet. I'll figure some of those details out later on in the development process. And what I might do is actually take a bit of a fractured colony process approach to this game. When I do get the final miniatures done, I may go ahead and launch a crowdfunding campaign for the STL files for those miniatures before the final game is released. And also, some of the terrain that's coming out in the next set for Fractured Colony is actually going to be compatible with these miniatures. So I've kind of got a 2-for-1 thing going on there to get some people interested in the terrain. And I'm like, hey, I made this terrain a while ago. Maybe you want to check out another game that's kind of a science fiction thing that you might be interested to use with that cool 3D printable terrain you got, you know, I don't know, whenever, a year or two ago, whenever I finally get around to actually creating this game. Now, the hardest problem you have to solve is actually finding players for your game. When I was selling Legends of Kalidasia at local gaming conventions, most of the people you're going to run into there are often by themselves, and they're usually hesitant to buy a game if they are the only ones they kind of know that are interested in the game. Even if it seems like they're having a great time playing a demo or playing a little test scenario at your vendor booth, well, if they don't know other players, they may not pick up a copy. I had a lot more luck with father-son combos who came to conventions together, or in one case, I had a local college's game club. They enjoyed the game and bought a couple copies a little while later after the convention. So my solution for the initial release of this game, and when I look down the table here, I've got the little token sitting here, and that's what I keep looking at. But my solution for the initial release of this game is that I'm not going to focus on competitive play. There'll probably be an aspect of that, and it would make sense to include a basic competitive mode into the game. But I want to make this a solo cooperative game. Therefore, when players come to see the game and play it at a games convention, they can go ahead and say, hey, you know, this is a one-player game, or maybe you want to introduce somebody to have a cooperative experience. You can buy this game and have a fun time with it, even if you know no one else who wants to play the game. And I think solo and cooperative gaming is becoming more and more popular. We are starting to see miniature games take that approach. Some of them have done it before. Fallout Wasteland Warfare did it years ago. And, you know, I was talking about Hard War last week that did it. And Battletech's got something coming out supposedly later this year. We'll talk more about that in a future video. But that's basically the plan I'm going to take once I've got my core rules done, which are, I think they're about 80% in place. At least initial, what seems like a good idea, draft. There's going to be a lot more play testing. I'm going to start writing up some basic AI actions so that you can at least have an entertaining experience with a handful of scenarios in the box to go ahead and tell a bit of a story of the Krylin attacking this spaceport or aircraft field or airfield, airbase, thank you, brain, and have fun that way. And then once people get interested in that aspect of the play, I can either give them, like I said, a basic competitive mode in the box, or maybe have an expansion ready to go that really introduces competitive play into the game. All right, well, thank you guys all for listening to my rant here about talking about making your own tabletop miniatures game. Hopefully some of the things I'm talking about in this series are helpful. And I am slowly working on my game. I'm not just completely spending all my time on Fractured Colony. Okay, maybe I kind of am. But I am getting to this game a little bit at a time, and there will be plenty more episodes in this series between now and when it's finally released. So thank you guys all for watching. I'm Jason, the creator of the Tabletop Battlefield, as well as Legends of Kalidasia, or at least the Kalidasia universe. And until next time, oh, I kind of screwed up the ending there. I'll see you guys all next time.